It is time for a new Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe it's a sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe it's another Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe it's a spin-off of a Final Fantasy, but then put in tactical form, like a Final Fantasy VI Tactics. We don't know, but we do know it is time for another Final Fantasy Tactics. This has been a long time in the making. Let's take a little time warp here and look back at what has been going on since we first heard about Final Fantasy Tactics leaked back in 2021 with the NVIDIA leak. Back then, a bunch of different games were going to be leaked out, and nobody really knew what to make of this because these games weren't out yet. Some of them were announced a little bit, some of them were hinted, and some people were like, oh no, this is all fake, this is ridiculous, but every single freaking thing on the list about has come to pass. Since 2021, we have gotten our Chrono Cross remaster. We've gotten the Final Fantasy VII remake. We know that this Final Fantasy IX remake is coming, like, give me a break. Square Enix is doing a Final Fantasy IX animated show right now. They've also, Yoshi-P just came out like a week or so ago, and he put some add-ons and doodads and things like that in Final Fantasy XIV that was Final Fantasy IX themed. And then he was like, why is it Final Fantasy IX? That's a secret. I can't say that right now. Yeah, we all know why it's Final Fantasy IX. Then there's the Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, which we're still waiting on. We got Kingdom Hearts 4 announcements. The new strategy game was the Davidvinc Chronicle. Tactics Ogre Remaster we know about. Tomb Raider 25th Anniversary Edition, still nothing here yet. And then the unannounced card game 2, which was the voice of Card the Forsaken Maiden. So everything in that leak, it's here. We're just waiting on the Tactics Remaster. Then a couple of weeks go by, and the Final Fantasy Tactics director went on Twitter and he encouraged fans who were begging for a remake of the game to give Unicorn Overlord their support because he said the market for tactical RPGs is small. He's put out this tweet, people started begging him for the Final Fantasy Tactics remake, and he said, please go and play Unicorn Overlord instead. It's nice of you to say that, but first, let's play Unicorn Overlord. I pray that the sales of this new simulation RPG will exceed 1 million copies. Well, calm down. How about trying to play this game for now? Another tweet from him reads. Back in December, though, he did tell people that there was no plans for a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster, and he's been fielding questions for that quite a bit of time. A lot of the times, these people, they're under a gag order from Square Enix, and they just aren't allowed. They have an NDA, whatever. It's their job on the line, and until Square Enix says, hey, you can talk about it, they're just going to say, nope, nothing there. You know, this isn't my first time at the rodeo. But then earlier that same year in June, he added some fuel to the fire by asking fans what they would want fixed in a potential Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. So, yeah, he was talking about this, and then the other day, yesterday, I reported on this, that Unicorn Overlord is doing extraordinarily well. Its shipments and digital sales have topped 500,000. So it looks like Square Enix is noticing this, and now maybe they can start talking about it. So let's look and see exactly what Yoshi-P said in regards to another Final Fantasy Tactics. He says, we love Tactics as well. It's probably about time that we do a new one. He recognizes the storytelling potential, and he says the team at Square Enix are also fans of the Tactics games, with some developers working on the series in the past. Do not expect a Final Fantasy XVI style Tactics game, though, as one developer feels that it isn't a good fit for the series. Thank God! That would be the worst thing ever. Can you imagine having a Final Fantasy XVI style tactical game? Like, that's ridiculous. Personally, whenever I think of the Final Fantasy Tactics series, of course, you know, I think of the original game back on the PlayStation 1. Then I think of the Game Boy Advance games. Hopefully there wouldn't be a judgment system like there was in those GBA games, because that sucked. But really, what I'm thinking about is just pixel art. I'm thinking about something like Triangle Strategy. I think that that is the perfect fit for a tactics game. An isometric viewpoint, the battlefield there, the glorious music, and the sprite-based pixel art. If they went and they modernized this with 16-ish graphics, that would be a complete nightmare as far as I am concerned. So, he went on an interview. This is Yoshi-P. He had an interview with the Gaymer, and he revealed that he loves the series just as much as the fans do. And he also says that he sees the storytelling potential in another tactics game even after all this time. Notice, he said storytelling potential in another tactics game. He didn't say that he's talking about the story that was already told in Final Fantasy Tactics. He didn't say remastering Final Fantasy Tactics or remaking Final Fantasy Tactics. He said another tactics game. A Final Fantasy Tactics 2, perhaps. Yeah. Then he shares some thoughts. We have a lot on our staff who worked on previous games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Final Fantasy 12. So we're going to have a lot of that tactical feel because a lot of the same people are on the team. He adds that he's very happy to hear another tactics game suggested because the teams are fans of that game themselves. We love tactics as well. It's probably about time that we do a new one. Again, not that we do a remake or a remaster. It's about time that we do a new one. A sequel. A sequel. I like it. However, don't expect Final Fantasy XVI to be used as the template for a new tactics game. Speaking alongside Yoshi-P, localization lead Michael Christopher Koji Fox, and director Takeo, Kurigioka, don't think that the most recent Final Fantasy Tactics game is a good fit. What will we even call it? Said Fox. Final Fantasy XVI Tactics? That's a lot. Yeah, so now they're even spitballing ideas and saying, maybe we could make it based off of another game in the series. Maybe a game that has a lot of different party members. Maybe something like Final Fantasy VI. How cool would that be? Or they could go and they could base it off of something like Final Fantasy V, since that already has job classes. They could do all sorts of different things with this. Maybe even spin it off of Final Fantasy IX, since they are going to be remaking that as well. I don't know. But this is fascinating. This whole interview is absolutely fascinating because it seems like they don't even want to know. It looks like this is still on the drawing room floor as far as what they're going to be doing. Are they going to be remaking it? Are they going to be remastering it? Are they going to be doing a spin-off of a regular, of a normal mainline game, or are they going to be doing a sequel? They don't even seem to know yet, but this is fascinating. Still, the fact that project leads over at Square Enix are not only aware of the calls for a sequel, but are still fans of the series themselves, means that we'll probably get a new tactical game at some point in the future. It'll likely just be its own thing, like a sequel, or based on another Final Fantasy game altogether, like a Final Fantasy VI Tactics. So this is like mind-blowing, talking about all this. I didn't want to wait to talk about this in the news at the end of the week. I record my news videos on Friday. This news came out on Saturday, so now I'm talking about it on Sunday, and it is what it is, and I woke up to this news, and I'm like, I have to talk about this because I love Final Fantasy Tactics. You will not find a bigger fan of Final Fantasy Tactics than me. I have played it a million times with all sorts of different job class challenges and restrictions. I even did a random job challenge over on the Twitch one time where people had to do a dice roll, and then I had to change my jobs based upon the roll of the dice, and that was that was kind of a hot mess, but it was a lot of fun. I love this game. I love all the games in the Tactics series. The one thing that I would say that I don't like is the judgment system in the original Advance tactical game, but hey, it looks like a lot of the other people didn't like that, and they fixed it in the second thing, so I'm not too worried about that thing rearing its ugly head again. Instead, I just want another Tactics game. Like, this is great. It has been, God, it came out in 97. It's been 27 years since a new Tactics game has come out. To me, it seems like an absolute no-brainer, and this should be a standard thing for Square to have. This should be their standard tactical game, just another IP that they put out, another spin-off that they do on Final Fantasy, and I am all here for it. But I want to know what y'all think about this. Do you think it's going to be a remake? Do you think it's going to be a remaster? Do you think it's going to be its own standalone sequel? Or do you think that this is going to be a spin-off of another Final Fantasy game, but with a tactical spin? Let me know in the comments, and as always, have a good day.